And welcome back to Before the Bounce. I'm with Dave Armfield, 30 years as a runner at Port Adelaide Footy Club. Dave, do you ever thought that I was ever going to have, you're going to be on the couch with Ando?
Never, ever did I ever think, Ando, you would be on the couch with me anyway.
With you, yeah.
Exactly right.
Now, I've got to say, it's wonderfully sponsored by Rachel Laurie, who is the owner of Ray White at North Adelaide. Great supporter of local sport, so thanks very much, Rachel. 30 years, a long time at one footy club.
Yes.
You know, Kevin Sheedy done 25, you've done 30.
Yeah, well, I don't think any other football club would probably want me, and I think it's Port Adelaide or nothing.
I didn't want you when you said we got 10 400s tonight. I know that much.
Well, that was what we had to do, didn't you? Back in the day.
So what brought you to Port Adelaide?
Right time, right place. I grew up right across the road from the Oval. 7th Avenue, for those of you that know Alberton.
Just one over, isn't it?
One right over.
One over,
yeah. Right next to the car park.
Yeah.
First thing I ever knew was Port Adelaide Football Club. It's all I ever knew.
Yeah.
So I remember going as a little kid to the footy.
Yeah.
And I remember reading someone, I don't know who I can attain the quote to, but if you find your passion and turn it into your profession, you're pretty lucky. So
you're lucky. Yeah,
that's what I did for a long time.
Did you play at all?
Played under 19s.
Under 19s, yeah.
I could have got on Ando, but I thought I'd go the other direction.
Go the other way and really punish us.
Yeah.
Because in those days it was probably, was it your mentality that if we train really harder and with a fitter side, we're going to win games?
Yeah, I think so. I was phys ed trained, so I was at uni when I got invited out to come out and help under 17s. Malcolm Maiden and Tony Hoult got me out. So I was studying the theory of phys ed, fitness, and it was just perfect. I was doing the theory at uni and then putting it into practice with the players. But it was back in the day. It was if a little bit's good, then a lot must be better. Yeah. So it was just hard work. Yeah. There's a lot more science involved in it now. The guys the fitness guys are all highly trained sports scientists. So there's a lot more science in it than.
Which you're still involved in anyway on a day-to-day basis. I mean, that's your profession, isn't it?
Yeah. I work for leading teams. So we work in that cultural awareness, cultural development, leadership area, how you want to be seen, what you have to do to be seen like that. Which again, I think the reason I like it so much is because it's what we grew up with at Port Adelaide. If you want to get a game at Port Adelaide, you had to train a certain way, you had to play a certain way.
It's a tough way, wasn't it?
When you came into the footy club, you saw the best players. That's what they did, and that's what you did, and that's culture. That's what we do.
So you started under 17s, was that?
Started under 17s and spent a year with Malcolm Maiden there. Then I went up to the Tony Hobby, who was my under 19 coach. Went up to the seconds. He took me up, so I did work with them. Then Russell was the league coach at that time. Ken Wally was the fitness coach. He left after a couple of years, so I was just in the right place at the right time. And I think at Port Adelaide, when you win, and I was, to be honest, just right place, right time. We had a fantastic era of players.
Well, I mean, what about some of the coaches? I mean, you got Russell, and then you
Jack,
John Carl,
Mark Williams.
Yeah. So wow, that's
very and again, a limited amount of coaches. The coaches or the clubs, that don't really have a strong culture, just keep churning their coaches around. Port Adelaide, there's stability. Stability. So look, I learned. If it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. So,
I started the club at 16, and of course you were the fitness coach. I mean, incredible tough sessions, and was that a lot to do with Russell Ebert's style though, because he was a fitness fanatic? So because I do remember a couple of times that I knew that we're only going to be doing, say, 10 400s, a little bit of ball work, just a nice easy cool down, and all of a sudden you've thrown in another 10 200s. I mean,
as you do.
How do you do
dynamic.
that?
I think again, if you think back to that period of time, difference to what it is now. We would train Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, play Saturday, and pre-season would probably be 3 days as well. You look at an AFL club now; that's their job. They're there every day, and they have a day off. And they play. So we had to fit a lot into a short period of time. And again, obviously the skills are the most important thing. You had to fit that in as well. So it was about let's push them as hard as we can, knowing that there's going to be plenty of time to recover. So I
mean, your career at Port Adelaide, is unbelievable. I mean, you've been part of lots of premierships. SNFL and AFL. Was still the first time you ran up on the ground as the league runner something pretty special?
Yeah, it was, because I was never good enough to play at that level. As a kid, everyone wants to play league footy. I was never good enough. So to be able to be involved in that was the next best thing, and I was absolutely fortunate. I remember the AFL Grand Final, I purposely rang the people up that got me involved. The day before we went to Melbourne on the Thursday. I think on the Wednesday I just rang the people that really were responsible for getting me involved, and just telling them that there'll be a little bit of you run out on the MCG. That was was an unbelievable experience.
It was huge, wasn't it? You know, the first ever premiership, you're part of it.
Yeah. We've always wanted to be the best team in the SANFL. We actually got to be the best team in the country. It was a huge, from where we came from, it was just a huge effort. And it meant so much, not only to the team and the players and that, but just the supporters. You could just see the joy in their faces. We were the best around.
It's interesting that, because I do look at you know, the back of the Guernseys, 1870, and it does mean a lot. It probably doesn't mean a lot for the people outside, and that's fair enough, Eddie Maguire being one of them. But it does mean a lot, that 1870, and you know, my father played reserves football, 90s, and he knows that a big part of that history is in that Guernsey.
Oh, look, I think if you don't like Port Adelaide, I mean, again, a lot of people that don't, but there's that respect there. I think that's the important thing for us, and that's what, when I was always there, it was always about, you know, you're there for a short period of time. And you would remember, I'd say to players, we're here for a short period of time. It's your chance to put a mark on this place. It's going to be, was here for 100 years before you got here, and it's going to be here for another 100 years. So you've got that small chance. So don't waste it. Was
there times on the ground that you actually thought you were playing and that you were playing league football?
No, I think
quite often you were standing in
allegedly. I did get caught in the wrong spot a few times. No,
standing in front of Tony Lockett. I mean, that's was, sort of the 19th player, and
I think people kind of blew it up a little bit more than what it was. And I think, well, maybe a couple of times.
I used to love when you used to run past me on the wing, sort of baking me, but you're not really baking, you're baking my opponent. I used to love that. You still beautifully, you know.
Well, it was one of the techniques. You weren't allowed to talk to opposition players. You weren't allowed to get caught anyway. So it was more around talking to them, talking to you, so they could hear. I remember Peter Burgon was one of our great clearance players in the AFL, and he always used to get a hard tag. So you just sidle up to Peter and just in distance of his opponent, just running past Choppy Pickett. And you see Choppy over there just shaking his head, and you could see the blood drain out of their face. They knew that Peter was going to run past and Choppy was going to come the other way. So just little subtle things like that without really sledging, but making sure they heard what you were saying.
And what about some of your great memories? I mean, obviously 2004, #1, first premiership, as a senior fitness coach and runner. That would have been pretty special.
Premiership's always good, but again, it's showdown week. The showdowns were, apart from the grand finals, the showdowns were, although they're not as important in terms of the overall, but the build-up, the atmosphere was greater than some of the finals that we were involved in. Because again, you got to be in Adelaide, you got to understand that rivalry. It's just a different week, and it's a different atmosphere. And it's again, some of the finals that we played didn't have that as much atmosphere as what the showdown is. So they were the first showdown when we beat them, beat Adelaide. That was huge. That was fantastic.
And what about some of the funny players that you play? I mean, you're talking about like Bomber Clifford and also Martin Leslie, Dave Baker was just a legend down at their club.
It had to be, it was at the moment. They were just great, funny blokes. I mean, that was one of the things that when I left the footy club, it's one of the things.
Because they'll mean to you. I mean, you won a premiership, and you'd be thinking, normally they pour something over the coach. You know in your own mind, I'm going to cop it later on tonight.
I'm going to get chucked in the Port River.
You're going to get chucked in the Port River.
Which is what you do. I'd do it all again, just to win a premiership. Be involved in
sorry about that.
He'll be right. He'll throw a life jacket or something like that. He'll be right.
But some of the funny stories. I mean, I know you mentioned a story about Bomber Clifford and Steve Curtis. I mean, it's worthy of.
Is it?
I think it is.
What's the rating on this show?
The rating's fine here. The rating is fine.
It was a lot of training, and I think we had a loss, so we were doing some competitive work. Russell was coaching, and Kurt didn't have it. Like, he had full both top and bottom.
Top and bottom.
Both. So he'd take it out, and so I was standing there watching training. He threw his teeth in me. So I'm the tracksuit on, I put it in the pocket.
Perfect.
Anyway, we'd done training, gone into the change rooms. Bomb was sitting in the bath, and he knew I had his teeth. So, you got Bomber's teeth? I'm like,
Kurt's teeth, yeah.
Sorry, Kurt's teeth, So I threw him in the thing. Anyway, Kurt goes, Arnie, where's my teeth? I said, Bomber's got them. And Bomber turned around and had his teeth stuck up his bum.
In between his cheeks?
Yeah, teeth. No, he threw them out, grabbed them. Kurt grabbed them, just put them straight in his mouth and walked on. So,
that's what footy's all about, isn't it? I mean, footy's about it, and you must have just had the greatest time. And I know you earned a lot of respect for the job you had to do, and that's to get players fit, which you've done beautifully. But the other side of that, you had a lot of fun. You know.
I would say the thing you miss when you leave a footy club is just the fun that you don't have anymore. It's just every day there'd be something funny would happen, and we were lucky that we had some great success. So it was a perfect
nice
world.
balance for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dave, for joining on the couch with Ando. We're back after the break.